Shadows over Hillcrest Hill. Nestled between two towering peaks lay the quaint town of Hillcrest, where the sun glinted off the rooftops and children played in the dusty streets. But Hillcrest held its secrets, and none were more attuned to them than Detective Elara Lane. With a sharp mind and a heart steeped in justice, she was a guardian of order in a town that, beneath its serene surface, was murky with corruption. One clear afternoon, while perched on a bench overlooking Hillcrest Hill, Elara cast her gaze over the rolling landscape. It was a beautiful sight, yet she felt an unsettling energy rippling in the breeze, as if the hill itself were whispering secrets. When she stood, the altitude made her feel dizzy, heightening her senses. She'd always been captivated by the hill since she was a child, believing that it could tell stories of love, loss, and the darkness that quietly loomed. But this particular day was different. Just as she was about to step away, a young boy on a bicycle rushed past her, his face pale and frantic. "Detective Lane, you need to come," he shouted, pedaling furiously back towards town. Curiosity piqued, she followed him, her detective's instincts kicking in. As they arrived back in town, Elara was met by a crowd gathered near a quaint old house that sat at the base of Hillcrest Hill. The air felt thick with tension. Brought as a response to the boy's alarm, the detective slipped through the mass of concerned townsfolk, her heart racing with an instinctive urgency. Inside the house, they found Mrs. Grayson, a woman known for her storytelling and prized garden of rare flowers, seated on her porch, pale as the moon. She clutched a crumpled piece of paper, her fingers trembling. "It's my husband's journal. He found something on the hill, something dangerous. I think they are trying to get rid of it," she stammered. Elara's heartbeat quickened. This wasn't the first time she had heard whispers of trouble on Hillcrest Hill. Countless youth stories warned of a hidden treasure that led to greed and betrayal. Something had happened that should not have remained buried, and Elara would not allow more innocence to be lost. Taking a deep breath, Elara scanned the crumpled pages of the journal. Handwritten notes detailed a series of numbers, coded messages, and mysterious symbols. It seemed that Mr. Grayson had discovered something invaluable, but had hidden it well from prying eyes. Among other discoveries, one message rose starkly from the rest, stating, "They'll stop at nothing to keep the truth hidden." Realizing the urgency, Elara urged Mrs. Grayson to stay safe and made her way towards Hillcrest Hill, armed with this newfound information. The sun sank low, casting eerie shadows across the landscape as she made her way up the hill, her heart pounding with the thrill of the chase. As she trekked up the incline, she found her surroundings overwhelming with a strange mix of allure and foreboding. The taller trees whispered secrets, while crumpling leaves crunched beneath her feet. Halfway up, she noticed a glimmer through the branches. A hidden path led her further into the heart of the hill. Trusting her intuition, Elara took the winding route until she stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center, a worn-out chest sat surrounded by crumbling stones and wild foliage. She felt the weight of history rest upon her shoulders. But before she could reach it, shadows darted through the trees. Men in dark clothing had been waiting, vigilant to guard their secret. Like a whirlwind, Elara assessed her surroundings. Using her knowledge of the terrain, she quickly ducked behind a large oak, clutching a branch as a makeshift weapon. She could hear the whispers of the men rising. Their conversation became clearer. "Once we get the contents, we'll bury them again. They can't know what's hidden here," one of them hissed. Realizing the danger, Elara pushed her fear aside. She focused on the shadows and their task. Just as the men began advancing towards the chest, she leaped from her hiding spot, catching them off guard. "Stop right there," she shouted, a commanding presence echoing from the hilltop. The startled men turned, but it was too late. Elara, every bit the detective with her head on a swivel, raised her makeshift weapon and demanded the men reveal their intentions. With a struggle, they tried to flee, but she was ready. using her knowledge of the hills to outsmart them. Just as she planned, she led them into a trap where they stumbled and fell. Minutes felt like hours. Her heart raced with adrenaline as she cuffed the culprits, calling the local authorities. The path around Hillcrest Hill would never be the same again. Elara peered again at the glimmering chest, and once the dust settled, they pried it open to reveal the lost town relics of history, art, and writings that should have never been buried. As she breathed the chilly air of the evening, the shadows of the hill transformed from weight to wisdom. Elara Lane had protected Hillcrest yet again, proving that not all stories were buried in darkness. Some were just waiting to be found.